Donald Trump can no longer distract from or cover up his connection to the Epstein controversy. And that's exactly why the White House is in panic mode right now. Despite efforts to silence the discussion, survivors of Jeffrey Epstein spoke out today at a press conference that has reignited this entire scandal. We're going to break it all down. But before we dive in, if you're enjoying our coverage, please take a moment to give this video a like. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel and keeps us bringing you these updates. Now, not only did Epstein survivors share their stories today, but they also dropped new details about the long-rumored client list, something that has Washington scrambling. And before we get into those revelations, I want to highlight what Lawrence O'Donnell shared last night about another key Epstein associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, and why that adds a whole new layer to this unfolding story.
The worst thing about it is the laughter. That's the part that the news reports haven't told you about. There was a lot of laughter. They all laughed. And no one laughed more than Ghislaine Maxwell. In 9 hours of what turned out to be casual conversation spread over a Thursday and a Friday in Florida, the single sickest reaction you could have in that discussion of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's sex crimes was laughter, and they all did it. Ghislaine Maxwell laughed the most, joined by her 3 criminal defense lawyers, and their laughter was joined by the 4 people from the Trump Justice Department sitting in that room with a convicted sex trafficker, an indicted perjurer, and they laughed the day away with her 2 days in a row. But that's not in the transcript released by the Trump Justice Department on a Friday afternoon, because it is not a real transcript of what actually happened in that room. No court reporter, no stenographer was allowed in that room. And so this transcript that we have, it's not real. On page 215 of this first day's transcript, a woman who is being called the official transcriptionist says in writing that she was, quote, provided audio recording media.
Donald Trump has never taken this matter seriously, and that's something we need to make crystal clear. No one in his administration has shown real concern, and for most Republicans, this has been treated as nothing more than a political talking point. Now that the issue is no longer convenient for them, they're trying to brush it aside and move on. To them, it's just another game. But this isn't a game. That's why it's so important that survivors are speaking out and having their stories heard. And today, they've dropped a major revelation, one that Donald Trump and his allies would rather stay hidden. New details connected to the Epstein list.
News right now, one of the Epstein survivors speaking at the largest ever rally of Epstein survivors right behind me just announced that the survivors are going to be confidentially compiling a list of names. Since the Trump administration won't release the Epstein client list, they're going to compile a confidential list of names by survivors for survivors, outlining every individual responsible and involved in Epstein and Maxwell's horrific crimes over the many years. They are fighting back. They are making their voices heard. Right now, today, the survivors need to be heard. There are over a dozen survivors here today. Shortly, we're going to have a press conference with Republicans and Democrats from the House of Representatives. I'm going to be asking them questions about what they see happening next. There is a major push to release the files on Capitol Hill, and right now these survivors are not backing down. Keep spreading their voice, keep sharing, spread the word, and follow along, stay up to date on all the news you need to know about, and I'll have a full breakdown of today's events on my Substack, linked in bio.
There's nothing Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, or James Comer can do to stop survivors from speaking out and sharing their own accounts, naming the people they believe were closest to Epstein. Even legal maneuvers, like talk of pardons or conflicting testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell, can't silence these voices or erase their experiences. And that's exactly what we saw today. Several survivors came forward with powerful testimony, and their words were both impactful and deeply important to hear.
For the first time, I feel like I matter as an American. I was only 14 years old when I met Jeffrey. It was the summer of high school. I was working 3 jobs to try to support my mom and my sister when a friend of mine in the neighborhood told me that I could make $300 to give an older guy a massage. It went from a dream job to the worst nightmare. Jeffrey assistant Leslie Groff would call me and tell me that I needed to be at the house so often that I ended up dropping out of high school before 9th grade. And I never went back. From 14 to 17 years old, I went and worked for Jeffrey instead of receiving an education. Every day I hoped that he would offer me a real job as one of his assistants or something important. I would finally have made it big, as, like we say, the American dream. That day never came. I had no way out. I was, until he finally told me that I was too old. There are many pieces of my story that I can't remember, no matter how hard I try. The constant state of wonder causes me so much fear and so much confusion. My therapist says that my brain is just trying to protect itself, but it's so hard to begin to heal knowing that there are people out there who know more about my abuse than I do. The worst part is that the government is still in possession right now of the documents and information about that could help me remember and get over all of this maybe and help me heal. They have documents with my name on them that were confiscated from Jeffrey Epstein's house and could help me put the pieces of my own life back together. But I don't have any of it. And I know the same is true for many of these women. We are here to support this bill today, not only for transparency, but for the American people. But if the government is going to release these documents to the public, describing the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and others, the least that they can do is give me my documents that they have about me. The other survivors deserve the same respect from our government.
If you are a member of Congress and you are listening to all of us speak here today, please really listen to us. Please vote for this bill to be passed. Please recognize how important it is for transparency relating to Jeffrey Epstein. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, this does not matter. This is not about sides. You are an American and you are a person who has chosen to serve in an elected position to stand up for those you represent who cannot always stand up for themselves. We are those people. We are the Americans that you promised to protect. And we need your help. Please, President Trump, pass this bill and help us. Make us feel like our voices are finally being heard. Thank you.
Make no mistake, my polished exterior is a shield hiding a wound that still bleeds. But through this wound, I have found purpose. To be part of lasting change in how we confront exploitation and abuse. And to be clear, the only motive for opposing this bill would be to conceal wrongdoing. You have a choice. Stand with the truth, or with the lies that have protected predators for decades. I am no longer weak. I am no longer powerless. And I'm no longer alone. And with your vote, neither will the next generation be. President Trump, you have so much influence and power in this situation. Please use that influence and power to help us, because we need it now and this country needs it now. Thank you.
I want to thank my colleague Ro Khanna for co-leading this effort to bring transparency and justice for these victims. I hope my colleagues are watching this press conference. I want them to think, what if this was your sister? What if this was your daughter? When these survivors speak, the Washington establishment is asking the American public to believe something that is not believable. They're asking you to believe that 2 individuals created hundreds of victims and they acted alone. and that the DOJ has no idea of who else might have been involved, that nobody else did anything that rose to a criminal enterprise. The American people know that's not true. Now, the Speaker of the House just offered a fig leaf to my colleagues. They're going to vote on a non-binding resolution today that does absolutely nothing. I appreciate the efforts of my colleague James Comer, who's leading the Oversight Committee.
Donald Trump and Republican leadership have never taken this seriously. They offer thoughts and prayers, then move on, all while protecting the wealthy and well-connected instead of demanding accountability. We saw it with Epstein, with Maxwell, and now with Trump again. That's why it's critical we keep talking about this cover-up and amplifying the bravery of survivors. Their voices matter, and they deserve justice. If you want to support this work, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.